Hello PPL fans and welcome to Heat of the Week for week 3 of the season. I'm Shroomraver, he's OnesieBanette, and we have got a few sets to go over. There hasn't been as much as we get further into the middle of the season. The heat tends to die down a bit and come back up at the end, but we've got some gems for you to go over, haven't we?
We do indeed. We've got some very fun sets to talk about this week. As you mentioned, all the coaches at the moment just kind of trying to settle into their teams. They've kind of realised what works, what doesn't work. There's not as much experimentation towards the middle of the season. But, as you mentioned, we do have some very, very interesting sets that managed to put in some work this week. So, yeah, very, very interested and very excited to talk about them and show them to you.
Yeah, absolutely. If last week was the week of terror performances, this week was probably the week of counter. A couple of really good uses that we can go into, starting straight up with number 3 for the week, and that is going to be the ever-memeing Jack, coach of the Vancouver Titans, in a really hyped-up match. Jack versus Ellie of the Shanghai Dragons. What a match that was always going to be. And his quite fantastic Spied-Up set. Go for it. What do we have on this?
We have a Spied-Ups. That is all I need to say. But not only do we have a Spied-Ups, we have one of the most interesting Spied-Up sets I've seen in a very long time. Now, this Spied-Ups was Iron Ball Fling with counter. So, not only was it Iron Ball Fling on a Spied-Ups, it was Iron Ball Fling with counter. And the Iron Ball Fling, I imagine, from Jack's commentary, was to try and ground a Rotom Wash so that a Landorus...
Landorus
I don't actually... Yeah, that's...
I don't even think Iron Ball is the speed thing.
Is Iron Ball the speed? I thought
Iron Ball is the speed, so Iron Ball cuts your speed in half.
No, I think I'm right on that. I think Iron Ball, it does cut your speed, but it also grounds you.
Does it ground you?
I think it's Lagging Tail that just puts you in the negative speed. So I can't even really imagine what the Iron Ball Fling was for, unless it was to ground Tornadus Therian?
Possibly. I mean, either way, Ellie had quite a few levitating off the ground and also quite quick offense on her side, so Iron Ball would have done any number of useful jobs, until Jack was met with a little bit of a glitch in the system. We had to do a little bit of research into this because... the turn order was Jack goes for Fling with the Iron Ball, as Ellie brought in Rotom Wash to be sacked off to Hazards, so the Fling failed. So then in comes Landorus next, I believe it was. Jack goes for the Fling, and it didn't work, because he didn't have the item anymore. We had to do a little bit of research into this, and it seems that if a Pokemon is sacked off to the entry hazards, goes down before Fling can go off, the item is still flung, just doesn't make any contact, which is odd.
Yeet it into the abyss.
Yeah.
Just fling it off to wherever.
Exactly. Which was a problem, and you might think, well, that's the end of Spied-Ups being able to do things. No, absolutely not, because then it lived a Stone Edge from Landorus Therian and went for counter and killed it in one.
The most overused of overused Pokemon, Landorus Therian, the king of OU, getting one shot by a Spied-Ups.
Yeah, and what made it all the sweeter was just before that, when the Fling had failed, was Ellie in her live commentary saying, "I'm sorry, Spied-Ups, Jack clearly had some tech from you, it didn't work." And then it worked.
So good. That's
Very
just
enjoyable.
like moments before disaster.
Yeah. Spied-Ups, you thought. And then, yeah. But yeah, very good use of Spied-Ups, highly underused thing, and it did a thing, which we love to see.
We do indeed love to see. And I this match in particular, it's very, very interesting for me, because I imagine Jack pulling out the tech like that. He must have been loving it in the moment, but after the game was finished, I can imagine a few choice words were had between the two of them.
Yeah. To be a fly on the wall in that household when that went down. Oh, chef's kiss. Lovely.
Chef's kiss, you love to see it. I would have loved to have been there.
But yes, that was a very good use of counter from Jack, and it segues us nicely into heat number 2 of the week, and that is going to be Shuckle King and the Philadelphia Flygons taking on Mountay and the Immunity Idols in a fantastic match that also saw excellent use of counter, this time from Quagsire. and it was a really fun build of Quagsire, meant to be defensive in every possible aspect. It was built to take 2 hits from a modest Terra Killer Wattrel, which it did, and then could recover back. But the big news then was taking on what looked like a pretty difficult and powerful Trick Room team. In comes Guts, Adamant, Ursaring, gets the Flame Orb off, goes for the Facade in Trick Room on the then very close to full health Quagsire, lived the hit on the physical side, goes for counter, Okos again.
The week of counters. I mean, what can we say? It was a very, very interesting multi-purpose build here. I think SK, he's very, very good at optimizing his EVs. He's shown that every single time I've played him, and to be able to optimize it to not only take hits from a Terra Ground Killer Wattrel, to also be able to, deal with an Ursaring at the same time, it's very good. But the problem that SK had in this game, and the reason why it didn't lead to a better result for him, I believe, is because it's almost like the Quagsire tried to bite off more than it can chew. It can deal with the Killer Wattrel, it can deal with the Ursaring, but it cannot do both in the same game, because if it does one, then it's going to be left very low health for the other one to come in and deal with it, and that's exactly what we saw here. After dealing with the Ursaring with the counter, it then is picked off by the Killer Wattrel later on and is unable to prevent it from sweeping. But it does show that if SK had gotten a little bit more luck with some of the other turns during the battle, if he had managed to get his Zarude going, if he had managed to do a little bit more significant chip to the Killer Wattrel, it would have been a fantastic bring and won him the game. But having said that, it's still very, very impressive to be able to deal with those 2 massive attackers in one Pokemon and still give yourself basically all the room on the team that you need to do what you want with your playstyle. It's just unfortunate it didn't quite go the way he wanted, but you've got another week, SK, and you are our number 2 pick for this week.
Yeah, SK took advantage of Mounte's timing to try and get the most out of the Quagsire. Like you say, going for the counter was always going to be its last gasp thing. It can do one thing with counter, but then obviously it's too slow. Even in a Trick Room team where there are things that are going to be designed to be as slow as possible, it's going to be in that middle ground where either way, you get the counter off, that's your game done. Thankfully, he was able to put some pressure on the Killer Wattrel earlier and get both jobs done, which gets him number 2 in the list. But like I say, unable to prevent that Killer Wattrel sweep at the end, but a very impressive bring nonetheless. So, moving on from our counters, we're going to have a few honourable mentions, and today we have 2 wonderful women vying for the Queen of Heat. First off, we want to mention Addison. It was a very good week for Addison. Not too many... It's difficult to say because not too many things brought in the sense of heat sets, but the way she was using them and holding them back for later on maybe is what gets her the honourable mentions. Carmine 3 attacks Gardevoir isn't heat in itself. Most of us have used that. But the way she was able to bring it in and trace stamina, thus getting her own passive defense boost on top, turning Gardevoir into a tank that could take hits on both sides from things it might normally not have been able to, that's very good building, that's good reacting to the situation, and that gets an honourable mention from us.
Yeah, I think it's more heat play, and a very, very good analysis of the situation to be able to use your fairly standard set in a very unconventional way. And while the set itself, as you say, is not that heat, it definitely deserves a mention for the way that it was used. But yes, Addison didn't just stop there with the Gardevoir, did she? She actually managed to bring another very interesting Pokemon that we were a little bit torn on whether we should include it in the top 3 or not. She brought the Bulk Up Terra Water Go-Goats. The only reason this hasn't made the list, our reasoning for this one, is that as Go-Goat sets go, while the Pokemon itself is a little bit unconventional, you don't really see much outside of Bulk Up Milk Drink 2 attacks Go-Go, and that's exactly the set that was brought here. It was Terra Water, so that's kind of cool, you can customize the Terra, but the actual Go-Goat set itself was... it's a Go-Go. It's doing Go-Go things. Yeah,
I think what I quite appreciated about this was unconventional, was actually Addison's intentions for it. Because the amount of times you look at people with their team builds and they're saying like, okay, this is my endgame sweeper, it's going to be my Scarf Pokemon, I'm holding it in the back, this is my Dragon Dance setup, it's going to sweep at the end. And Addison comes and is like, no, my ending sweeper is going to be Go-Goat. Which I loved. amazing. Huge fan of saving Gogoat for that specific purpose. And either one of them could have worked if her opponent Lars was not an awful person, dishonourable, exclusively looking for freezes and froze both of them. Lars, how could you? I thought better of you. And you've let me down, and you've let yourself down, and you've let all these people down.
You'll never be on Heat of the Week now, I'm afraid,
No,
Lars.
we do love Lars. He's fantastic. We love him.
Oh dear. We used to love him. Not anymore.
Yeah, down a little bit. But yeah, really good springs from Addison. We wanted to give them a mention, and it wouldn't be fair also in the honourable mentions not to give a shout out to that Shanghai Dragons Vancouver Titans match and Ellie's Hooper Unbound set. Nasty plot, blunder policy, focus miss, with the intention of ideally getting to +2/+2 and sweeping through the team. And the one time you do want Focus Blast to miss,
Can I get an F? Can I get some Fs in
the chat? Oh, the
it's
one
just
time.
Awful. The one time. Every single time. You bring Focus Blast, you know I'm going to hit this move. You never do. You think I'm going to miss it, you bloody hit it. And it's not even like she tried to use it on a Pokemon that it was going to do big damage against and hope it missed. Like, she used it on an Enamorous switching in, which is 4 times resistant to it. So, you got the worst possible deal there.
Yeah. It's not something you can really blame on hacks, that one. You're just hoping for a disadvantageous situation to work in your favour. It didn't, but it was a fun bring, and we appreciate that.
Yes, we do appreciate unconventional things here. But what we appreciate more is unconventional things that work, and that's exactly what we have at our number 1 spots. I'm going to leave it to you, because you were a very big fan of this one.
I was a huge fan of this. Number 1 spot for this week goes to Jay and the Atlanta Victinis in a marquee match against Pokeaim and the LA Wakers. And this is... it's all about the Greninja, the Chilanberry Greninja. It's important to say here, and I'm sure other ones of the team will talk about this in other videos on the channel, very hacksy game. A lot of stuff has gone against Joey in the first 3 weeks of the season, and this was no exception. A couple of overheat misses versus an Alolan Muck. An Alolan Muck. The editors are going to have fun with that one, aren't they?
God.
Yeah, a couple of overheat misses with the Specs Delphox, the freeze on Hisui and Samurott. Not ideal, but Joey was still able to put himself in a position where the game could be winnable. He has Choice Banded Dragonite in, facing down the Greninja that it's got its boost from taking out the Samurott earlier. Goes for the Banded Extreme Speed, would have killed were it not for the Chilanberry on the Greninja, allows it to take the hit, get the kill with Ice Beam, and then sweep through the remainder, or most of the remainder of the team. Very interesting one. Chilanberry, we see it occasionally. You know, it reduces the damage of a normal type attack. The thing is, not only does Joey not have a lot of regular normal offensive moves on his team that he would use, he doesn't have any normal types as far as I'm aware. So this was put in place for one very specific purpose, take the E-Speed from the Dragonite, and that is exactly what happened. It played out perfectly for Jay, and he was able then to go on and get the win, and that Chilanberry probably won in the game, or at least came close, because all that he had left in the back was Baxcalibur and a very low health Sarina, with the likes of Heatran kicking in there, could have done a lot of work. I think the Annihilate was still alive.
Yeah, Scarf Annihilate that had taken some hits, so that was a Scarf Annihilate with some Rage Fist boosts.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there that Joey could have brought himself back in, so that was a very, very specific and very, very effective bring on Jay's part, and that's what takes him up there. That kind of bring that also then won him the game, top tier stuff.
It definitely did win him the game, unlike last week's number 1.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, yeah, that was a thing that happened. I got flamed. That's on me. I was the one who said he got the sweep, and he didn't. So that one's on me. I apologise greatly. We are only human over here. We do make errors. It happens.
We are indeed. But yes, it was a very, very good bring from Jay. The Chilanberry, very, very clever. There's, as you mentioned, there's only really one physical one normal attacker, or at least normal attacking move that Joey is probably going to click, and that's E-Speed on the Dragonite. It's like the only thing. The only other thing would maybe be Rapid Spin with Serena, but you're a Greninja. You're not taking that. You're not taking the Trop Kick or the Power Whip. So to isolate that threat, that banded extreme speed threat that you know is so potent, and to be able to say, right, it's not going to work against me, we're going to get the boost, and we're going to say, no, you know reverse card. And yeah, just get the sweep from that. I think that definitely deserves to be Heat of the Week, right? Unconventional item, unconventional ability, unconventional game state, and it manages to secure a win. So, Jay, for the Atlanta Victinis, you are indeed the king of Heat of the Week this week. You have taken the crown from Q the Costa Rican.
Yes, indeed. And it will remain to be seen whether Q can take back that crown or whether someone else will drop in future weeks to try and take that crown for themselves. But that is going to be it from us. So thank you all very much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed. As always, is there anything we missed? You definitely let us know about it last week, and we appreciate you for that. But if there is this week as well, let us know down below in the comment section. We love hearing your views and thoughts on the Heat that you think we may have missed or should have been ranked higher. Always fun to read those comments and see what you guys think. But yeah, keep an eye out for future videos on the channel as always, and matches coming up in the coming weeks. But we're going to get out of here, so final thank you to you all for watching, and with that, we'll see you next time. Laters.
See you later, guys.